Porque tú no te enamoras de mí, si yo me enamoré de ti. Porque tú no te enamoras de mí, si yo me enamoré de ti.
Every social salsa dancer has heard of salsa on one and salsa on two. Let's look at the concept of dancing salsa on two and where it originates from.
But it was the mambo that became the favorite dance at the Palladium. In 1943, he created and introduced the first mambo dance steps at the Tropicana Club in Cuba.
In the salsa scene, like in the clubs and dance schools, you will be informed that the New York style of dancing salsa is called mambo and it's danced on two, and that it is unique and different from all the other styles of salsa, such as Colombian or LA style. But is there another style of dance that shares the same concept of dancing on the offbeat or dancing on two? And the answer is yes. We can actually go back all the way to the 18th century to Guantanamo, Cuba, with the rhythm changui. This traditional rhythm is danced on two or the offbeat. It has the same crossbody leads and outside turns that we will use in salsa today, and again, it is danced on two. Another rhythm and style of dance, dance on two, is a descendant of the changui rhythm, the son cubano or Cuban son. This rhythm dates back to the early 19th century, and it arrived in Havana by 1914. The traditional son cubano, which once it arrived to Havana became an urban dance, has all the same steps that we use in salsa today, such as crossbody leads, outside turns, and tornillos, which are used mainly in Cuban son. By 1920, the urban son had become popular all over Cuba and Latin America. In the early 1930s, another rhythm called Danzon Mambo by Orestes Lopez became very popular in Havana. This is the first time we can actually see the name Mambo associated with the dance. This dance also was danced on the offbeat Contra tiempo or two. The Danzon Mambo will become very popular in all the social clubs around Havana. It also led to other new rhythms eventually, like the cha-cha-cha. It's very important to point out that by the 1920s to the end of the 1930s, more than 43,000 Cubans classified as labor migrants immigrated to New York and New Jersey, bringing their music and social dances to the Big Apple. The Cuban urban son and the Danzon Mambo would have a huge influence in the New York Latin dancing and music, and the concept of what we call today dancing on two. 15 years after the creation of the Danzon Mambo, Damaso Perez Prado would introduce a new mambo rhythm and dance, different from the Danzon Mambo, only called mambo. The Perez Prado basic mambo is not danced on two, but actually is danced on one by tapping on the first count or first beat. The music became very popular in the States, such as the Palladium nightclub, but the dance became popular mainly in Cuba and Mexico. In the early 1980s, a young Puerto Rican dancer by the name of Eddie Torres would become the ambassador of the Mambo on two New York style. There are three basics to the New York Mambo style. The basic from the Palladium days, the basic to the clave, and the Eddie Torres basic. The first step would be the basic Mambo Palladium days.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6.
The second basic is what New York calls dancing on clave.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. 5, 6,
And the third basic will be the Eddie Torres dancing on two basic.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1.
Marking contratiempo, dancing on the offbeat Cuban style, as well as marking from the contratiempo to tiempo, dancing on one and two, very normal in Cuban music. The Cuban way of dancing on two or dancing contra tiempo. Notice that we don't start on quick, but we start on slow. This is dancing on two and switching to dancing on one back and forward, also known as dancing a contratiempo and dancing a tiempo. Very normal in Cuban style of dance, whether if it's Cuban salsa, timba, changui, or songo.
5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Even today, social dancers know very little about the changui, son cubano, and the Danzon Mambo as creators of the dancing on two concept or contratiempo. But teachers such as Eddie Torres has always given credit to the Cuban music and Cuban dancers.
¿Cómo fue quién fue que comenzó a traer los pasitos y eso? Pero yo sé que todo esto tiene su origen en Cuba. Ajá. Yo soy muy fanático de la música cubana y de todos los bailarines de Cuba y respeto mucho y siempre le doy el crédito merecido a los cubanos porque en realidad que nos dieron mucho con su música y su arte y su baile.
After mambo went out of style in Cuba, a new style of dance was developed in the early 1950s. This style was called casino, a mix of different figures and patterns from many different dances such as the cha-cha-cha, Danzon Mambo, the guaracha, son cubano, urban son, and Cuban rumba guaguancó. This is what we would call el casino clásico or the classic casino of the early 1950s, where if you were dancing to the introduction of the song, you would dance on two or contratiempo, as opposed to if you were dancing on the mambo section of the song or estribillo, you would dance a tiempo or on one. It's also very important to point out that casino is not a style of music, but it's actually a style of dance. In the mid-1950s, swing and rock and roll had become very popular in the United States and abroad, and this had a huge influence in Cuban dancers. Here's where we start to see an introduction to more spins and complicated turn patterns introduced into the dance. By the mid and late 1950s, a new formation between different couples had been developed, and it was called Casino Rueda. The classical casino of the 1950s would be danced on one or on two, a tiempo or contratiempo, but Casino Rueda is always danced on one. As the music got more dynamic, dancers wanted to add more spins, more footwork, and more complicated patterns. And the music did get more dynamic. The choice of the casineros in Cuba were bands such as Rumba Havana, Maravillas de Florida, Roberto Fa in the early 1950s. Through the 60s, bands such as Los Bam Bam became very popular and Elio Rebe in su charangón. In the 80s, to bands such as Adalberto Alvarez and its urban son, Son 14. And in the late 80s and early 90s, an explosion of timba bands, commercial timba, from bands such as NG La Banda, La Charanga Habanera, Climax, Manolín, Pablito FG, Bamboleo. The evolution was significant, as casino of today looks nothing like casino from the early 1950s. As mentioned before, casino is a manifestation of all traditional Cuban dances put into one, such as somontuno, guaguancó, rumba, guaracha, cha-cha-cha, mambo. Outside Cuba, in the United States, the style of dance and music had adopted the perfect name, salsa, meaning a mix of different flavors. New York, Puerto Rico, and Latin America would develop their own flavors and tremendous musicians. But Cuban music is a major influence and the foundation of salsa.
Bueno, la salsa es y siempre ha sido la música cubana.
Salsa no es un término musical. La salsa se come.
¿Y la música que se hace como salsa, cómo la define?
Bueno, el mambo, el cha-cha-cha.
¿Es una mezcla de todo?
Estaban, para no confundir la gente con lo que era un guaguancó, una guaracha, un somontún y eso, pusimos toda la música tropical bajo un techo y le pusimos salsa.
Y actualmente, bueno, a nadie, ni a Creo, ni a mí, ni a ninguno de los músicos que vivimos en Cuba nos molesta decir que somos salseros, somos soneros. En realidad lo que defendemos es la música bailable y cada uno la hace a su manera, ¿no?